This video is the continuation of last video, which was about excretory system, introduction to excretory system and functions of kidneys. This video is about functional anatomy of kidneys. I have explained these slides in the last video. The link to that video will be given in the I button or in the description box. Coming to present video, which is about functional anatomy of kidneys. Kidney is a compound tubular gland covered by a connective tissue capsule. Talking about the location of the kidneys are bean-shaped organs that lie retroperitoneally on the posterior abdominal wall, one on each side of the vertebral column. The right kidney lies slightly inferior to the left kidney. The picture is showing gross anatomical features of a human kidney. Talking about the size and shape of kidneys, during life the kidneys are reddish brown in color. Each kidney in an adult human weighs about 150 gram and measures approximately 10 cm in length, 5 cm in width and 2.5 cm in thickness. Next is surface, borders and poles of kidneys. Each kidney has anterior and posterior surfaces, medial and lateral margins, and superior and inferior poles. The lateral margin is convex and the medial margin is concave, where the renal sinus and renal pelvis are located. Renal hilum and sinus. The renal hilum is a vertical cleft present on the concave medial margin. The renal sinus is the entrance to space within the kidney. Through the renal hilum, the renal artery enters and the renal vein and renal pelvis leave the renal sinus. The renal sinus is thus occupied by the renal pelvis, calluses, vessels, nerves and a variable amount of fat. Renal pelvis and calluses. The renal pelvis is the flattened funnel-shaped expansion of the superior end of ureter. Within the renal sinus, the pelvis divides into 2 or 3 parts called major calluses. Each major calluses divides into a number of minor calluses. The end of each minor calyx is shaped like a cup, into which fits a projection of kidney tissue called renal papillae. Gross internal structure of the kidney, as seen in the coronal section through the organ, exhibits that kidney tissue consists of an outer region called the cortex and an inner region called the medulla. Coming to the medulla part of the kidney, it is made up of triangular areas of renal tissues that are called renal pyramids. Pyramids are 4 to 14 in number and separated from each other by cortical columns of Burton. Each pyramid has a base directed towards the cortex and an apex or renal papilla, which is directed towards the renal pelvis and fits into the minor calyx. Pyramids show striations that pass radially towards the apex. These striations are due to straight portion of the nephron and extend some distance upwards into the cortex, where they are called medullary rays. The medulla can be subdivided into 2 parts, outer medulla, inner medulla. The outer medulla that is further subdivided into outer strip and inner strip. Inner medulla is also called papillary zone. Next is cortex. The renal cortex can be divided into 2 parts which are continuous with each other. First is cortical arches or cortical lobules, refer to the tissue lying between the bases of pyramids and surfaces of the kidney. Next is renal columns, refer to the cortical tissue that lies in between the pyramids. Next, lobe of kidney. Each pyramid, surrounded by a shell of cortex, constitutes a lobe of the kidney. This lobulation is obvious in the fetal kidney.